Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today what I want to look at is adding a valve to the pipework that we're going to connect to the taps so that we can isolate the water when we need to, so we can work on the taps without having to turn the water off at the mains and turning the water off to the entire property. So let's go. The first valve we're going to look at is this, the stopcock. This is the main valve to the entire house. So you will have a valve out in the street, which will probably be on your pavement or maybe on your drive somewhere. That turns all the water off from the mains coming into the house. From there, this stops it getting into the house. It could be in your garage, could be in the kitchen, could be in a utility room. It's basically average tap. You just turn the water off and that's it off. So according to the regulations, ideal world obviously, is after your stopcock, you should have something called a drain off valve, which looks like that. And what you do is you unscrew that end once the water's isolated, and then you can technically drain all the water out of the system from this point here. Put a hose onto it, take it outside, put it in your bucket. Yeah, so that's how you do that. Ideally, what you would have is the stopcock with the valve there, something like that. So once the water's in the house, it's gone past the stopcock, past the drain off valve. The water in the old days would then travel all the way around the house, going to each appliance. So each appliance would be a toilet, a sink, a basin, your bath, washing machine, etc. If a plumber was to come to your house today and that's how your house was, what they would like to do, depending on what they were working on. So if they've come to fix your toilet, for example, they would like to turn the water off, drain it all down through the drain off valve. They would then like to fit something called a service valve on the pipework that they're working on. And a service valve is something like this. Say is all these valves are compression valves. So you take them apart and they're going to have the nut, they're going to have the olive and the tapered section where the olive fits in. I have been corrected. Over the other side of the Atlantic, these are actually called ferrules. So it's the olive or the ferrule. So these service valves, they come in all different shapes and sizes, different sizes for pipework, so 15mm, 22mm, etc. But they also look different as well. So this is your common service valve, 15mm. This is another service valve, 15mm. The difference between these two is this one is a full bore, this one is a reduced bore. What I mean by full bore is it's 15mm the whole way through. This one is not 15mm, probably drops down to maybe 6 or 7mm. So if we compare the two together, it's massive. So this one will not interrupt the flow of the water when it's open. This one will reduce the flow of the water when it's open. May not be a problem if you're on mains flow. The problem would be if you had the tank in the loft that's feeding your hot water cylinder, so you're only on a gravity fed system. So depending on what the height of the gravity is from, you know, in the tank to the hot water tap, let's say, you could reduce the flow to the sink. So it might be worth thinking about adding the full bore if that's your case. So this is another valve. This is one that I particularly like. It's called a lever valve. And basically the valve is off, pull the lever down and it's on. Obviously you wouldn't start putting these all around your house because they're not the prettiest things, but it's a very simple, easy valve to use. Similar sort of thing, it's called a butterfly valve. So turns it off and turns it on. And then we have something called a gate valve. I'm not a fan of these, to be honest. They're very old fashioned. They have the purpose, but yeah, I'm not a fan of those. So those are the valves that we have. So the question we have is, we need to connect the tap to the pipe, or it could be plastic pipe, because we've discussed everything here. And the question is, what are we going to do and how are we going to connect it? So most taps nowadays, when you buy them, come with something called like this. It's called a flexi connector. What you do is you screw that onto the bottom and then the other end connects to the pipework. I mean, this is a very long one. So the only one I've got lying around. That connects to your copper pipework or your plastic pipework. So between the pipework and the end of this, we need to think about putting one of those service valves. So what I've seen plumbers doing is they take those off and they connect the part straight onto that. What's the problem with that? The problem with that is the end of this valve, it's not sharp, but it has a slight ridge on it. And the problem you've got is inside there is a washer. Now, if you put that on there and you tighten it up very tight, there is a good chance you're going to cut into the washer in the flexi connector, and you could over time damage it and generate a leak. So what I've seen people do is they can file that ridge down, take it away, or you can buy these. I haven't got any of these here to show you, but this is what they look like. So it's basically that valve, but it's called a flat face. So the edge of it is not ridged or pointed and it's completely flat, which will not damage the washer. So they're a good thing to carry in your van. I haven't got any with me, unfortunately, to show you because I am still on the crutches. Today's Wednesday, tomorrow Thursday I'm seeing the consultant with an x-ray, so we shall see, is this still broken? Hopefully I'll get the cast off and we can start having some fun again. So a little trick around this, if we only have the standard service valve, is, and we're going to be connecting to the flexi connector, what we can do is we can drop a radiator tail in there with some compression paste, tighten that up, and then the flexi tap connector connects straight onto that, so there's no problems. If you don't have any radiator tails, which some of you may not, you can actually buy same sort of thing, but I'm trying to read that on the screen, I can't read it, for flexi tap tails. So those go into the service valve, you connect the threaded end and you don't damage the washer. So that's how we get around that. This is another angled service valve. This would generally be used on a washing machine or a dishwasher. Water enters there, connect it to the hose to your appliance, and then you can isolate them. They come with a red end or a blue end, depending on if it's the hot or cold. So something else to bear in mind. You can also get service valves that do have a 90-degree bend. So if the pipe's coming out the wall, you can connect the service valve onto it and then it takes it straight up to the, ready to go to the taps. I haven't got any with me, but they look like this. So obviously we've just looked at all the compression valves that would go on a copper pipe. They can go on plastic pipe as well, as long as you remember to put the inserts in, but you can get valves for the plastic pipe that look like this. I haven't got any with me, but they're just as good if you were going to be plumbing in plastic. Obviously you don't have to use copper, you can go plastic because you're going to need less equipment. So that was it in a nutshell. Just basically wanted to show you how we can isolate the water before we actually connect the pipe to the taps. So now we all know what a service valve looks like. The next time you're in the toilets in the pub or a cafe or the supermarket, you're going to be looking around and you're going to start seeing these little silver things on the pipework, and you're going to be like, aha, that's a service valve. Obviously, without wanting to sound like a weirdo here. So that was all for today. If you've liked what you've seen, give me the thumbs up because it really helps. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything in the future. Wish me luck for tomorrow because the cast's coming off with an x-ray, and I'll see you on the next time where we'll actually be plumbing some water into the sink. Okay, take care guys, thanks a lot, bye.